Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about the 2022 December Commander Party, okay, Magic the Gathering Commander Party, and how it's impacting Dungeons & Dragons. So, I am literally leaving the 2022 Commander Magic Party that was run at probably thousands, at least hundreds, if not well over 1,000 FLGSs in America. And I wanted to, this is kind of a field report, right? So what the heck am I doing playing in a Magic the Gathering tournament? So first of all, I'm a Magic the Gathering player been a Magic the Gathering player for a long time. At this point, I do not play competitively. I played in FNM. I played competitively in the first 2 years. And I actually played in the World Tournament in 1995. It was either 94 or 95. And I came in like 48th. Like, pretty high. Like, and yeah. I mean, now this is way before Magic was anything really significant, right? And I had traveled from Philadelphia all the way to Gen Con. It was in Wisconsin at the time. I think it's now in Indianapolis. I think they moved it. Yeah. So I played very competitively in my early days. I then got really into Magic and made out like a bandit when all my cards became like super valuable. And I sold out in like the mid to early 90s. I sold all my valuable cards and still had literally thousands of cards that are called bulk. Magic the Gathering players talk about bulk. That's like when they have hundreds or even thousands. Actually, when you have bulk, you have thousands. So I still have a lot of bulk Magic, right? And I still have a lot of rare Magic, even though I've sold a lot of rare Magic, even recently. So it's kind of interesting. But so basically, I went to this Commander Party, and it was the Commander format, which is, singleton, 100 card Magic decks. And I went to this thing, and the reason why was it was advertised at my FLGS. I've been playing at my FLGS lately. 1 hour Dungeons & Dragons, right? And I saw this advertisement that on December 17th, on Saturday at 1 p.m., there would be this Magic party. There'd be this Commander party, and it was a tournament that was essentially like a party. And when you arrived, you would get a Mishra or an Urza banner, and then you would get 2 free. You would get a rare Magic card. They gave us 2 rare Magic cards because there were only 9 people showed up for the tournament, right? For the tournament party, right? Commander party. And it was really incredible. There were 2 things that happened that I want to tell you about. So it really blew me away. It was pretty astounding. So one, I have turned, more and more, I've been playing more Dungeons & Dragons than Magic the Gathering over the year. And one of the reasons why is it's just so much joy, right? When I play Dungeons & Dragons, there are times of passion, and people can get upset about each other with Dungeons & Dragons. But generally, Dungeons & Dragons is filled with joy for everybody at the table. And that's even the goal, right? Is, combat, exploration, interaction. Let's get a joyful story told, right? Magic the Gathering is I win, you lose. And even the best games, it's just like, hey, I win, you suck. Bye. I'm happy, you're sad, right? And it can really be a kind of a downer, right? And a lot of the Magic people are downers. Like I find comparatively to Dungeons & Dragons, I don't like spending time with Magic players because if they lose, they're not happy and they're losing half the time or more, right? So Magic the Gathering players are just fundamentally less happy than other players. So it's kind of a little bit of a downer, right? So I decided to go to this Commander party, and the reason why is I have a huge collection of Dungeons & Dragons. I have a huge collection of Magic the Gathering cards, and I am, in my opinion, I am the first Magic Dungeon Master. What the heck is a Magic Dungeon Master? Well, it's a term I'm coining right now, right? And it is a Dungeon Master who's way ahead of the curve and realizes that when James Wyatt combined Magic Dominaria with Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms in 2016, the whole world changed, right? And that from that point forward, Magic and Dungeons & Dragons were essentially one product, right? And really, Magic the Gathering has just simply become a supplement of Dungeons & Dragons, right? Because its worlds are Dungeons & Dragons worlds now. They're thoroughly, firmly connected, right? And this is impacting Magic the Gathering ways that the players don't even remotely understand. Now, I'll tell you right now, I think there's less than 5 Magic Dungeon Masters in the world right now. Dungeon Masters who play Dungeons & Dragons, but play it from the full understanding that Magic the Gathering, every Magic the Gathering world is a Dungeons & Dragons world, right? In my humble opinion, there's 5 of these people. I'm one of them. And the number's going to grow. And I think there'll be 500,000 of them in about 2 years, right? Who understand that the combination of Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons is a intellectual property historical event, right? Now, most people don't get this, right? But it is I can tell you right now, field report right now, right? It is impacting Magic the Gathering. And the reason why this was a commander party, and they put that word there on. Normally, it's just a tournament, right? But I could not believe it. The place where I go, the FLGS where I go, it is a card shop, right? They don't sell they sell board games, they sell Warhammer, and they sell Magic the Gathering, right? And it's generational. The dude who runs it, his son runs it, right? Like where I have, there's like this grouping of card shops, and there's like 6. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in my area. The father owned it, and he literally is actually giving it down to his kids. He's got 1 son, 1 daughter, and they're running all these shops in my area, right? And like 5 years ago, when I would play, people would come for the tournaments, and when you would win the tournament, they wouldn't even announce who won the tournament, right? They just there was this really harsh here's your packs, and the Magic players were grumpy because they hadn't pulled the right cards that they wanted, and the store owners were grumpy because they you won the tournament. Who cares? Nobody gives a crap. Everybody here is very few women played, right? It was just a bunch of disgruntled single dudes who had a crap ton of money to spend on Magic, right? Like very smart guys who made a lot of money, but ain't nobody happy in the group, right? Like not the store owners and that was 5 years ago. I could not believe it. This shop owner, right? Truly incredible. I'm really astounded to see this. This shop owner, right? His son actually started this out, and he says, "Welcome to the Magic the Gathering Commander Party. Thanks for coming. And this is the Brothers War Commander Party, and here you're going to choose Urza or Mishra." And players are like, "What are you talking about?" And when he goes, "Hey, this is a cool thing, right? Like normally you would just play Commander, but if you're on the Urza's team, you get these powers, and if you're on the Mishra teams, you get these powers. And what you do today will affect the next Commander Party." And one dude's like, "Yeah, I was at the last one, and we got to rub off the things on the map. Is that happening today?" And the guy's like, "Yes. And your conquering of this area or that area, we're going to scratch it off like a lotto scratch. And when it's all done, our map is going to look different than other stores' maps, right? And we're telling a story here. Get excited. Welcome to the party." And I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, what is happening, right? And the thing is, Magic the Gathering players are now stepping up and saying, "Hey, we are telling a story with these sets," right? And I think the reason they're all like, "Oh, we better pay attention and we better do something with our lore," is Dungeons & Dragons is coming for you fools. We're going to take everything you got. And the reason why, right, is we got lore and we've had it for 48 years. You guys have had yours for 3 decades. And if you don't step up and do something with your worlds, we'll take everything you got and you'll be playing in Forgotten Realms forever. If you keep ignoring your lore, we'll take it, right? And because these products are mixed, right, every Magic player who's serious about it is going, we ain't the only people paying attention to the lore anymore. And our little sad sack cynicism, if we don't care, the Dungeon Masters will come and take everything. Dominaria will disappear, Innistrad will disappear, Ixalan will disappear, and this will be Eberron, Exandria, and Forgotten Realms. If those suits are seeing that we don't care about our lores, it will get swept away and replaced with the lore that has already infiltrated our world. Strixhaven, Ravnica, Theros, Dungeon Masters own it, half of it. And if we don't own our lore and stop our cynicism and stop saying narrative doesn't matter, people who actually care about narrative, Dungeon Masters, will come in and take everything we have, right? And so I actually think there's a growing knowledge among the Magic players that they best be taking their narrative literally, because us Dungeon Masters will sweep that crap away and say, your 3 decades of tradition are gone, and now you're just Eberron, Exandria, and Forgotten Realms, right? And so already Magic the Gathering players, serious Magic the Gathering players who understand the rules and the mechanics are like, we don't have time for cynicism anymore. If we don't put a smile on our face and start putting some joy in, people who will do something with our worlds and with all those beautiful cards and all those characters and all those artifacts, the Dungeon Masters will come in and take everything. And they're right. They're right. I'm ready. I'm already starting it, right? Like, yeah, if you guys want to abandon, we will definitely sweep all your traditions up under our banner, right? And so the reality is, Magic Gathering, there is a growing understanding that, oh, you're a Magic investor like Rudy over on Alpha Investors. Who cares, right? Get out. Every Dungeon Master will replace you in 6 months. Nobody needs your noise. Nobody needs your money. Nobody needs your nonsense, right? And because Hasbro has realized the most valuable thing in the world is not Magic the Gathering, which is making crap tons of money, but there's no franchise coming. There's no world-known IP. There's no legacy. D&D is squeezing Magic the Gathering and saying, y'all's better wake up, right? If you ain't excited, we got people in the wings who will take your seat, right? And so the reality is, there is a virtual battle for what is the tradition of Magic. Because if you frat boys who like to sit around and beat each other and really could care less about, and call Oblivion Ring O-Ring, right? We'll shuffle you out. Then Dungeon Masters are ready to replace you and buy all your cards at a discount and then move forward and collect the real value 10, 20 years later. Rudy from Alpha Investments is pulling his hair out because he doesn't understand Dungeon Masters are coming to take his world, right? And so it is really fascinating what's happening. Now, here's the kicker. You want to hear something really funny? So I show up, right? And I just cobbled together a commander deck with just the best rares I had, right? Here's the thing. It was Joda, right? And the old Joda with 2 uncolored and red, white, and blue America, right? Plains, Island, Mountain, right? And then literally just the best artifacts, red, white, and blue rares that I have, right? So I roll in and I sit down in my pod, right, to play against 3 other players. My deck's probably got $200-300 worth of cards in it. Every deck at the table had 2,000 or 3,000 cards, right? And they all went around, right? And they go, oh, you're playing Bricklebrack, and you're playing Red Fury, and you're playing, oh, there's Grixis, oh, it's the Grixis loop, and so they all said each other's deck names in 2 words, right? And they all knew what they were playing because they were all net decks, right? So I'm like, you know what, Scott? This is why you played today. Commander Party is free. I don't play in tournaments that I pay at, and the reason why is I'm going to lose. I just put my deck together, right? I don't have some kind of infinite loop, right? That's going to beat every deck at the table, right? It's just the best deck I could make. My deck ain't a net deck. I didn't just see a recipe and buy the cards for it like some sad sack. I crushed everybody at that table. You know why? Because they all were cutting each other's throats, had no idea what my deck was, and when they realized it wasn't a net deck, dismissed it, killed each other, and I swept in and took the victory at the last because I am a Dungeon Master, and Dungeon Masters defeat everyone and are the top of this world when it comes to narrative. I am a narrator, right? My deck is my story, and it is America, and it is the brother. I had Ursra and Mishra in there, and it was a story deck, and it was unique, and it was special, and nobody at the table knew what it was, and they didn't fear it until they realized they were sitting with a Dungeon Master, and all got rooked, right? And I just played my cards right? I went at the throat of the player in front of me, right? I banged them. These 2 over here tore each other apart, and they had driven there together, and it ended with them furious with each other, and one guy saying, well, I'm going to take an Uber, right? Because they were so upset what happened, and the reality is, I couldn't believe, I was stunned myself, right? And it's an allegory. You best believe it's an allegory. They all think they know what's happening in Magic the Gathering. They don't. They don't. They don't understand what's happening, right? Nobody understands what a Magic Dungeon Master is. It is this true, except me, this truly unique thing for a moment in time that is happening right now. All that is my field report from my local FLGS. That's what's happening on the ground, in my humble opinion, in Magic the Gathering right now. Are you seeing this at your FLGS? Do you see Magic the Gathering people starting to open their eyes and go, oh my gosh, if we sit around and do our normal ad hoc cynicism, DM's going to sweep us. They're going to sweep us and take everything. They're ready to take our tradition. They're ready to take our cards. They're ready to take our value. They're ready to take our worlds. Yes, we are. We're coming for it. There you go. That's my humble opinion. I'm eager to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing and have a wonderful millennium.